Hello everybody, how's it going, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4. As you can hear, I am sick, and my throat is killing me, and to talk right now actually is kind of painful, so, yeah. Welcome to Brave New World mod. There's a few changes in this mod. Some of them you probably already noticed. The biggest one is that Central Europe is the United Communes of Central Europe, which is very interesting. A lot of exiled divisions in here, which could change up some balance in Central Europe, but maybe not. We have France, which is communist. We have the German Empire, which has lost Munich and some other areas, so that's interesting. We have the Baltic Confederation up here, so United Baltic Front. The Russian Empire is fat, stupid, I don't like them. Greece owns half of Turkey already, and their capital is now Istanbul, not Constantinople, which is interesting to say the least, not Athens. There is the Assyrian Republic here, which would be in more or less Kurdistan, capital in Mosul. We've got, of course, Syria here, and Palestine has taken that over, and Jordan exists, Iraq exists. The Saudis, Hijaz still exist, Yemen and Oman, so this isn't all owned by colonial powers, which is interesting. In China, we have the Qing Empire up here instead of Manchuria. The Japanese shogunate do own Korea, though. We've got the People's Republic of China and China proper, as well as Xinjiang, Tibet, and the such. Though there is no Guanxi clique or whatever down here now. Yeah, so that's interesting. And Africa is all sorts of fucked up, so it's not as colonialized as it was before. So we have a Mali Federation, we have the UK owning some land here, we have Chad, Egypt, which is at war with the UK to start with, which is funny, Algeria, Morocco, Senegal, funnily enough, Liberia is here, Wassul Federation in the Ivory Coast, we have Kenya and Ethiopia. We have South Africa, of course, as well, rounding out the bunch in Africa. So we could see some powerful African nations, perhaps, come out of that. In North America, literally everything is the same. Nothing has changed. So we won't be really focusing on North America this time at all. I'll be focused more so on Europe to see who becomes the big player in Europe, because will the United Communes be able to stand up to the other powers in Europe? Will Greece be able to survive a little bit longer with more land? And how will the Middle East and Africa really do this time around? Same with Asia. The Qing Empire here, and China, of course. Xinjiang, Mongolia is up in there. So it'd be interesting to see how they kind of hold up. And this just seems like an easier one for me to do while I'm not feeling the greatest. Yes, so I have some other stuff planned, but we will see what happens, whether I feel better or not. I'm thinking of doing All Nations Independent, playing as my home province of Nova Scotia, or playing as my new current home of British Columbia. So if you want to see that series, leave a comment down below. Do you want me to play All Nations Independent in the world as Nova Scotia or as British Columbia? Totally up to you guys. You guys vote in the comments which one you think I should play as, and then I will do it. We'll do a series, so not AI, but actually me trying desperately to survive. Maybe Battle Royale will turn on, maybe not, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. But let's get this party started. And, oh my, here comes all the craziness. So everybody's just declaring war on everybody, which is to be expected. So the United Central Communes have gone to war with the Duchy of Ruthenia, which split Poland with Belarus, the Baltics, and Germany a little bit here, because Germany does own Danzig. So that's kind of interesting that they would go after them initially. Albania was just annexed. Iraq is going to war with the Saudis. Jordan no longer exists. The Assyrian Republic, though, is coming down on them pretty hardcore. Oh, did they already capitulate? Oh my. Oh my. So now they're at war with the Czechs, which could go either way. The Czechs are pretty strong. So it'd be interesting to see if somebody can wipe out the United Communes and gain a pretty good chunk of factories, 64 total. Or whether they will become a superpower and challenge German and French interests. Spain and Portugal are already at it. That's going to be an interesting one. Belgium is gone. Goodbye, Costa Rica as well. Yeah, Spain and Portugal causing each other quite a bit of pain. Oh, Tibet's gone. Bulgaria has been annexed into basically everybody. Looks like the Greeks now are at war with the Yugoslavians, which is not that surprising. Netherlands was just annexed into the German Empire. Oh, goodbye, Tanatuva. Morocco took Algeria. That's surprising. And Liberia took one state as well. Senegal is annexed. The UK is really interested in going after a lot of these places. Japanese shogunate just declared war on Mongolia. Oh, the Qing Empire was just annexed by the Japanese. We could see a powerhouse Japanese this time. That would be interesting. It's not often they get into the end, and they could actually pull out a possible win this time. The Russians are still fairly strong, but I don't think they're as strong in this one as they usually are. They have 138 divisions, and they're led by Alexandra, so they're not communist, which is not good for them. Baltic Confederation is gone. Poland ate it alive. I'm surprised Poland wasn't attacked by somebody else. Saudi Arabia. Sorry, just kind of crashed there, and then wanted to make sure I was going to do that again. So Norway is just eaten alive by the Germans. The Ukraine and Poland ate poor old Central Commune alive. So they are now actually destroyed. They are now dead. The Romanians have declared war on Greece, which will be interesting. Yugoslav is now annexed. So I wonder if the Greeks will be able to stand up to the Romanians, or will the Romanians just get a lot of land in a minute. The Ukrainians, apparently they are sporting a war against the Italians. They have very little land bordering them, though. I don't think that's going to go very well in their favor. Oh, People's Republic of China was just eaten alive by the Japanese. Oh, Hejaz was just annexed as well, which is interesting. The Turks are on a rampage. I'm surprised. I thought they would have been killed off by now, I'm totally honest. The Germans are now also facing a massive two-front war against two very strong foes, the Italians and the French, which is probably not going to go well in their favor, which means Finland will most likely survive all of this, which is actually kind of surprising. They're not at war with anybody right now, which is also surprising, but I'm sure they will find a war buddy here sooner than later. Poland right now is very interested in Greek gains. They are actually fighting a little bit along this line here, trying to hope to get into some areas near Prius and stuff like that, and the Albanian coast. I don't know whether they will be able to or not, but the Greeks are definitely starting to collapse, and Istanbul looks fairly close to falling to the Romanians. So the Romanians are probably going to get a very big peace deal out of this, which is going to give them a lot of land and a lot of supplies. They have quite a few troops, too. They're actually quite a formidable opponent right now. The Russians, on the other hand, are at war with Saikang. I don't know how much they've grown. So Saikang was actually just annexed. So they're at war with the British Raj. Okay. Oman was just annexed by Turkey. British Raj don't have anywhere near enough units to hold off the Russian onslaught, which is actually going to give the Russians quite a good helping of new factories, which is going to be bad for literally everybody else. So we'll see how that works out. The Germans are being squished very slowly. They are definitely putting up a very, very good fight against the French and the Italians. Oh my good lord. That's not very flattering. The Italians, thank God Mussolini's in the chair. Thank God. I was going to say this might actually give the Italians a Ukrainian border, but it's not. Poland is in the way, so that's unfortunate. Where did Greece move their capital to? Athens! Of course they did. Good job, Greece. Trying your best there. Yeah. Turkey is eating Yemen alive. I'm surprised at how beefy Turkey actually is. They're only 28 divisions, but they're very ready for this fight. Now, the Japanese and the Chinese war here is really going to show who's the strong one in the Asian theater. So we have China with 70 divisions strong against the Japanese shogunate with 69 divisions strong. So very even. But the winner of this war is going to rule Asia and be the main competitor to the Russian Empire currently, as the Germans are starting to fully collapse in on themselves. How is North America looking? The United States has ruled North America in its entirety except for Canada for some weird, stupid fucking reason. Anyway, the Americans are at war with the Colombians now, so they're going to get into South America here before too long. South America now is Colombia, Brazil, and the Argentinian League, and that's it, besides colonies. So it's interesting. Liberia has fully taken the Mali Federation, so that's good for them. Morocco here is... I don't even know who they're at war with at the moment. They're at war with Liberia, okay. But they can't actually do anything because this is all desert and cut off. Fun times. The Egyptians are at war with... Oh, they're at war with Chad, but they also can't get through. That's hilarious. Wow. Ethiopia is at war with who as well? Nobody? Really? The Ethiopians really don't want to navally invade somebody? British Raj, maybe? No? Oh well. Well, the Syrians are getting eaten alive by a very powerful Turkey. The Romanians are pushing closer and closer to Athens as well. So the Greeks don't have much time left in this mortal coil. The Italians and the Polish are now at war, so that'll be an interesting fight. The Poles are actually pretty strong. So I don't know if Mussolini thought about that before they actually invaded Poland, but hey, whatever. The French are going to easily take care of what's left of the German Reich. They're holding out in Copenhagen, and the Finns now have jumped into the conflict against the few German troops on the northern flank, which are getting slowly surrounded and murdered brutally, so they won't last too much longer. The Germans seem to only have about 10-20 troops left anyway, so the French will easily finish that right off, which is good for them. The Brits really haven't done much to... they're at war with Chad, right? Syria was just annexed, and the Turks have jumped into the Greece conflict to try and reunite, you know, Turkey. They're not probably going to get Istanbul out of it, though, because the Romanians have way too high of a war score here. The Greeks are going to surrender very shortly. Well, they actually have a tank in Izmir, though. I'm surprised. How close are the Greeks to capitulating? Oh, very, very, very close. They are not very far away. They could lose the city here. Thessaloniki? I think it is. Thessaloniki? I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that, to be honest. I apologize. But if they lose that, that's really gonna... That's gonna hurt. And they've lost everything on the mainland. Oh, really? They declared war on the Germans. Was that because the Germans are dead? Oh, and so German Empire is dead. Who did the French declare war on? Oh, the Finnish. Okay, that makes sense. The United States finally declared war on Canada. I was waiting for that one. I was really waiting for that one. But I'm glad that they finally decided to do it. So the Union of French Communes is looking quite big in Europe right now. The Poles and the Italians are fighting for some supremacy here, but we have Romania now too, who just declared war on the Turks. That's interesting. Who is more powerful there? So 31 on 27. So they're fairly even. This could go either way. I think the Romanian troops are better equipped, though. I think that's the only thing. British Raj, I have to hand it to you. Your unity is unmatched. You are beautiful. And the Chinese are collapsing in on themselves as the Japanese just cannot get a hold of themselves. Ooh, the Russians declared war on Finland, too. That means the French are going to have to share that land, which isn't that great. Who has more factories right now? So 195 to 103. Okay, so the French have more. 61 to 34. Okay, so the French could pump out more troops. They have the time. They won't be going to war with the Russians for a good time. Same with the Japanese. They're going to gain quite a few factories out of beating China if they ever can. This is just going to be a long and bloody conflict. I'm really interested to see who wins this one, the Romanians versus the Turks. That's a very different conflict. Like, that's very different. The Turks have some islands in here that they're not going to be too willing to give up. But the Romanians have a very strong, old guard kind of military. And the Polish, of course, versus the Italians is going to be a very long, very bloody conflict. But once Finland goes under, I would imagine the French are probably going to jump in against the Italians, because they are losing for the most part. So the French will try to probably capitalize on the Polish's failure to push fast and try to blitz the Italians into Rome, which would be smart. It would be smart. Ooh, it looks like they surrounded some Turk divisions there. That's not good. I don't know how that war's gonna go. I think if we see like a Russian intervention, we'll definitely know for sure. Where did they move their capital to? Why does everybody move their capital to this little city? I've never even heard of it before. I'm gonna have to look it up. Oh, Canada just got annexed. Cuba got one state. Again, Cuba goes for Haida Gwaii. Probably smart, because the Americans are never going to be able to land there. I love how they take Haida Gwaii every time. Just every fucking time. Oh, they declared war on Poland. And, oh, the Dutch East Indies just got annexed by them. Russia declared war on Turkey. So we've got France on Poland, which is not what I actually expected to happen. I thought they would go on the Italians, because the Italians were losing that war. And the Russians are attacking the Turks, who are already struggling enough holding the line just outside of Istanbul and south along to Bursa here. So now they're going to get this huge invasion by this massive force from the Caucasus and from the Persian steppe and the Persian Gulf. That really sucks for you, Turkey. I wonder if the Russians will go after the Egyptians after this. Possible. Oh, the Egyptians just got declared war on by Ethiopia. So Ethiopia finally feels strong enough to go ahead and try to beat them up. I wonder if they will. Gotta admit, Australia, didn't expect you to do this, but I'm proud of you. If you can do that, you can invade the Philippines. There's not that much sitting in the Philippines. You know, you can just literally barge into Manila right now. China, are you okay? Where are they at? Yep, Chongqing. This is literally World War II. This is literally what fucking happened before the Japanese attacked the Americans, is that they took Nanjing and just started just to fucking obliterate everything. God damn it, Hirohito, you crazy, crazy bastard. He's only got 62 divisions, though. He's actually lost divisions. I don't know if the Chinese have. No, the Chinese have more divisions. It's just the Japanese divisions are probably just better equipped. That's interesting. Very interesting. Oh, Turkey. Oh, Turkey. Oh, Turkey. Romania, you did not do well in that war. And Italy's now at war with the Romanians. Who are, yeah. Yeah. So Italy is just looking at this huge empire. The French just killed the Poles. The French are now at war with the Romanians. They have an entrance here. They better hurry up before the Italians take it. I'm not really sure why they didn't just invade the Ukraine. Oh, Italy got all the Baltic area, so the Ukraine's just going to take that over because there are probably no Italian units in that area. May as well just walk in and take the free, you know, however many factories it is. Oh, and there it goes. Turkey is annexed. Romania is now at war with the Russians. Oh, that's not good. I wonder who the French are going to go to war with next. The Italians, the Ukrainians. Could they go to war with somebody random? Like the British, which would be really dumb. Like, we're getting down to the wire here. I mean, we've got Egypt and Ethiopia and Africa trying to figure out who the hell is king of that, but I mean, really, there's not a lot going on in Africa anymore. Morocco took Algeria, that's where it ended. Because they can't invade Liberia, because they can't. Because they're too dumb, and it's just fantastic. Oh my god. But yeah, oh, the French are really diving in there. Yeah, I don't think the Russians are going to take much of that. I think the war score is going to go pretty much all to France and Italy. So they haven't really taken that much land. They've taken down here, but, I mean, what's that really worth? Yeah, I think the French are probably going to go after the Ukraine next. And imagine the Russians will probably follow suit, so we're going to meet in the middle there. Or maybe they could go after the Italians. I really don't know. Once Istanbul falls, though, we will know for sure. Because that's going to be their last holdout. There's no way they can survive without it. Really? You're going to war with Chad? Can you even... No, you can't even get to Chad. Italy, you idiots. You can't even get to Chad. You'd have to literally go through another country. Invade Liberia. Navally invade Liberia, for the love of God. Somebody just do that. Istanbul, just fall. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to die. There's a lot of French troops in there. Oh, yeah, the French took it. And there it goes. And yes, the French did declare war on the Ukrainians. Who did they declare war on? The Brits? Really? Okay. So they're going to declare war on Britain. Okay. It's really not what I expected, but sure, I was thinking Italy, or maybe even France. The Ukraine would make sense. I could see them diving into the Ukraine fight later on when the Ukraine's really collapsing, because they're fighting now. They're actually fighting, and the whole front's lit up. How's this all going? Argentinian league is not looking great, but neither is Brazil. Just nobody looks great against America. America just wins every time. That's all that happens. Just like yawn. I did a realistic yawn there. That was fake, I swear. I think the Italians also went to war with them, and then they have... Look at Italy's border. Look how disgusting that is. This doesn't join up. Look at this thing snaking out into, like, France land. And, like, Ukrainian... Former Ukrainian too. Look at this one. Look at these. It's so gross. And they've got these little pockets and shit all over the fucking place. Like, it's just disgusting. It's so disgusting. I hate it. Make it go away. I don't like it. Yeah, the Ukraine's starting to collapse now. They don't have much. They're not going to be able to... They just can't put up the fight. The French have the superior everything. Look at that. Friggin' holy crap. Look at those factories. 365. Russia's got 143. Oh, they match the Italians. I think the Italians have more military, though, which is interesting. The Japanese have 120. They're going to gain another 30 or so more out of China when they finally capitulate. I don't know who they're going to go to war against next, though. That's my thing. Are they going to go Pacific Theater and declare war on the Philippines? Are they going to declare war on Australia or New Zealand or something? The UK is invading Russia. Australia's already landed in the Philippines a little bit. They're not really doing very well, though. They've gotten themselves surrounded. You think this guy here would, like, try to take that troop out. But no. They're not smart enough. Yeah, the UK is harassing the Russians in Malaysia right now. So that's an interesting one. This front has barely moved. I think the Ethiopians are winning, though, but just barely. Ukraine is about to collapse. I think once they lose Kiev, they may switch capital once. I don't think they've got the unity, though. Where do they switch to? Yeah, that's where I figured they'd go. That's where I figured they'd go. They could retreat once more, maybe to, like, Kharkov. But probably not. Probably not. Or Gomel. That'd be funny. No, Tallinn. Just fucking run away there. Or go to Riga before it falls. Quick. Yeah, they're gonna lose that pretty quickly here. Oh, Russia owns the Crimea. Okay. Oh, why would you declare war on the UK, you fucking inbreds? You idiots. What a pointless war. You're never gonna land. You're never, ever, ever going to land. It's just straight up not going to happen. You're gonna, yeah, see, they're gonna attack you through Gibraltar just to piss you off, and you guys are gonna have some shitty fights in Africa that you're probably gonna end up winning. God's sakes. Well, we've gotten down to the last big ones, so to rest my throat a little bit. And they did... Really? Are you serious? Why is everybody just like, fuck the UK right now? I don't understand why the UK is the important one to invade. I don't get it, but whatever. Whatever. If that's what they want to do, fine. I'm going to pause it here, and we will come back when we see some more lovely action. So just as a quick update, the Russian Empire is having a lot of trouble with the Japanese shogunates. So they've been at war with them for quite some time now, and they're having a lot of trouble. The French actually fully annexed the UK pretty easily, actually. The Italians did take Morocco as well, which was kind of interesting, and they are now at war with the Ethiopians and not doing a very good job either. The French, meanwhile, after capitulating the UK, just declared war on the Russians. So it'd be interesting to see if the Russians can hold up against a two-front war. If they can take the Japanese out, they might be able to take the French out, but if they can't quickly rout the Japanese, they might have some major trouble, because the French are actually pushing in Indochina and even doing some pushes in southern India. So we'll have to see how this turns out. We could actually see a French or possibly even a Japanese victory here, so we'll keep an eye on it. So the Japanese shogunate and the French communists defeated the Russians. The Japanese have been fighting them for considerably longer, so they got much more land. However, the French commune right now has 600 divisions. The Japanese have 119. So this is not going to go well for the Japanese, I don't think. The Italians are the only real usurper here. They have 264 divisions, so it's still possible they could push out quickly into core France and take them if they do go to war eventually, but we will see. It looks like the Japanese are probably going to get pushed back very easily. Whether they'll surrender before they get into the actual archipelago remains to be seen, but we will see what happens there. But I'm really counting down to the Italian-French war, because that's going to be the real war to end it all. So the Italians attacked the French, or the French attacked the Italians. I really don't know which. I'm not really sure which happened first. The Italians were very much poised and ready in Africa, where the French had almost no troops. But I don't think the French are too worried about losing Africa. They're more worried about, Europe and the homeland. So they have a good press on the Italians in the Baltics. The Italians in the Baltics really don't have much of a defense here, so the French are very easily winning on that front. On the front in Turkey as well, the French seem to have more of an upper hand on the Italians there. On the Mediterranean side here, so coming down into Greece, Prius, and that area here, it seems like it's fairly evenly matched. Same with the front into parts of France and Italy's actual border, and of course parts of Germany and Czech Republic and such. Seems much more even. There is a lot of troops on both sides. The problem that I see arising for the Italians is once the French are done with the Baltics and possibly the Turk front, they'll turn those troops into the Italian front here. The French do have to worry about Africa. The Italian troops that are in Africa, there is quite a good couple of them, and they've really got to make sure that they can keep them under wraps and out of the Middle East. Because if the Italians can get a good enough front in the Middle East, that would be very bad for France. Now, France has pretty much pushed the Japanese out of the mainland at this point. There's very, very few Japanese units defending northern Siberia. The only real holdouts left is this island here with some Japanese divisions, and down in here they're holding on to Shandong port area and Qingdao, I should say. They're holding on to that as much as possible, but other than that, the Japanese have basically been pushed out. They're not really much of a threat anymore. They could be defended with fairly minimal troops along the ports in Asia, so I'm not too worried about them anymore. For the French, I'd be more so worried about the Italians, because the Italians can break the French line here. That's going to be it for France, because they're going to lose their core territory and stuff, and that's going to capitulate them fairly quickly. So I'm curious to see how they hold up. It looks like they just invaded Alexandria, but then left. Not really sure their plan there. But yeah, so long as they can hold the Sinai or even push back into Cairo, they have easy chance there. If they need to take out this Turk holdout quickly, get that out of the way so they can focus on the mainland. So they've pretty much pushed them out of the Baltics now. This is a lot of Italian units now surrounded that are going to get killed off, and then those French units are going to be redeployed to the Italian front. We could see some actual pushing happen at some point, but I'm curious as to when that will actually come about. So manpower-wise, you know, a lot more on the French side for sure. So the French have already lost quite a lot of men in total, but this is also against the Japanese. So the Italians have lost 729,000 to the French, and the French keep climbing too, but can't really see singular war what's actually going on. But manpower in the field, the French have 3.8 million. What are they on? Let's find out here. And they're only on limited conscription, so they could get a whole lot more manpower if they really wanted to. The Italians have 1.65, and they're on extensive conscription, so they're actually pretty close to maxing out their manpower. So Mussolini's not got as much of a thread chance as the French actually do to win this war if it becomes a war of attrition, which I don't think it will be. I think once one line collapses on either of these big nations, that's really going to be it. It looks like the Italians have already lost a little bit of land on the lip there. It looks like they've gained a little bit in the northern Balkans area, so Slovenia and southern Austria. They have that was a gain, I believe, by them for that. But we'll see whether they can consolidate that, because that line's going to be very stalemated, I think, for quite some time, because there's just so many units fighting. And the Italians have a lot of units, and so do the French, but the Italians are only fighting a one-front war, whereas the French have to deal with some Japanese annoyances. Mind you, the Italians do have to deal with Liberia, but it's Liberia. I don't expect them to have... Okay, never mind. They have about 75 divisions. That's enough to disrupt the Italians in Africa. They're not going to be paying that much attention. So they could actually... Liberia could actually be a big player in Italy's final defeat, if anything. So we'll have to keep a watch on this. But yeah, the Turk area looks like it's starting to collapse again. They had it almost before, but they kind of lost it. So I'm wondering if they can actually take and keep it this time. Because the Italian divisions are starting to get kind of poorly organized. They have a lot of equipment, but they're not the greatest in the organizational category. There's a bunch surrounded here too. If the French can quickly kill these attrition units off, that's going to be very beneficial to them, because they can then focus down south on the troops defending in and around Izmir here, because that's obviously that's what they're defending, is Izmir. That's what they want to keep a hold of, so because that's their final port that they can actually get to. So we'll see what happens. I'm not too sure. Excuse me. Goodness. Oh man, being sick makes you tired, I tell you. Yeah, I'm not really sure who could come out here, but with the Italians not being able to make a quick first push, that's really not good. And the Liberians are starting to take some land in Africa now too, which is also quite bad. The Italians will probably easily take all of French Africa, but the French really don't care that much about the African colonies. At the very least, they shouldn't. They should care more about taking Rome itself. Because if they can take Rome itself, they can push into Africa later on with no problem. And at that point, the entire Italian military will be completely destroyed. Yeah, because it's all defending, you know, Italy. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. The French now are pushing into Izmir pretty successfully. They could take Izmir and surround this core divisions here, which would be very bad for the Italians, because that's a good amount of divisions lost. It looks like they're trying to retreat them and get them out, but yeah, we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. front really hasn't changed much yet. There's some push-ins happening here from the French. Whether they'll be able to keep that or not, I don't know. Nothing's happened near Marseille at all, which is interesting, because there's probably some pretty heavy fighting going on in that region. Or at least you'd expect there to be some heavy fighting in that region, but yeah. The big advantage, too, that the French have over the Italians is the French have tanks. The Italians really don't seem to. They have some cavalry divisions and mountaineering divisions, which will be good for when the Battle of the Alps comes if they get pushed back that far. But the tanks are going to be the decisive, I think, here. Because the Italians don't have any. I don't see any in their ranks at all. I don't think they're actually producing any. So they've got, yeah, infantry divisions and the cavalry templates, but they're not producing any tanks. So that could be bad for the Italians as the French really start to win on this line. But, yeah, we will see. I'm going to pause it again because this is going to go slow. And I will rejoin you if something very exciting happens. All right, welcome back. We are looking at the collapse of the poor Italians. They fought very, very well. It's 1943, but they just can't keep up with the French at this point. Liberia has also taken a very large chunk of Africa. They actually have a pretty respectable sized military for Liberia, so good for them. Oh, and that's it. Italy is gone. France is the supreme victor of it all. Congratulations, France, for your victory, and I will see you all, hopefully less sick, next time. Peace.